My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, and until 2 weeks ago, I thought I understood the shape of my life. I'd been living with my boyfriend, Ryan Caldwell, for 2 years. 5 years together total. Long enough that our friends stopped asking if and started asking when. Long enough that our routines felt permanent. Sunday grocery runs, shared passwords, arguments that ended in laughter instead of silence. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop concert downtown, one of those accidental meetings that feel scripted in hindsight. He spilled beer on my shoes. I laughed. We talked until the band packed up. It was easy, effortless. Or at least, that's how I remembered it. The shift didn't happen all at once. It never does. About 6 months ago, Ryan started canceling plans. At first, it was harmless. A work emergency, a friend who needed him, a headache, a rain check. Life happens. I understood that. But understanding turned into accommodating, and accommodating turned into waiting. Dinner with my parents? Canceled. A movie night we'd planned all week? Canceled. A weekend road trip I'd been quietly excited about? Canceled. An hour before we were supposed to leave. Each time he sounded apologetic. Each excuse made sense on its own. But together, they formed a pattern I didn't want to name. The breaking point came on a Wednesday night. We'd been planning a weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains for over a month. I'd taken Friday off work, booked the place myself, packed hiking boots and that stupid sweater he liked on me, made reservations at a restaurant he once said he wanted to try someday. Thursday evening, I came home to find him sprawled on the couch, phone in his hand, smiling at the screen. "Hey," I said, setting down my bag. "All packed for tomorrow?" He looked up, and something shifted. A flicker. Guilt, maybe, or calculation. About that," he said. "Mark called. He's not doing great. His girlfriend just broke things off, and a bunch of the guys are putting together a last-minute trip to the coast, leaving tomorrow morning." The words landed softly, too softly. My jaw tightened. "Ryan, we've had this cabin planned for over a month." "I know, and I'm sorry," he said quickly. "But he really needs me right now. He's a mess. Can't the other guys handle it?" He sighed. "You made a commitment to me too, Sarah." "And what about the commitment you made to me?" I asked. "This is the third time this month you've canceled." He stood up, phone still in his hand like a shield. "I'm not canceling on you. I'm being there for a friend." "Is there really a difference?" I said quietly. "Because it feels like everyone else always comes first." "That's not fair," he snapped. "I'm allowed to have friendships. I'm allowed to support people." "I'm not saying you can't," I said. "I'm saying I'm tired of being the fallback." His face flushed. "Fallback? Seriously? My friend is heartbroken and you're making this about you?" "I'm making this about the pattern," I said. "About how I keep planning a life that you keep walking away from." He threw his hands up. "Oh my God, you're so controlling." The word hit harder than I expected. "You don't control what I do with my life," he yelled. I looked at him, really looked. The rigid posture, the defensive tone, the way he clutched his phone like it mattered more than this conversation. And something inside me went very, very still. "You're absolutely right," I said calmly. "I don't." He blinked, thrown off by the sudden lack of resistance. "So, you understand why I need to go?" "I understand perfectly," I said. "Have a good trip." I walked into the bedroom and closed the door. I heard him moving around the apartment, heard the front door open and close around 9. Later he texted, "Staying at Mark's tonight. Leaving early tomorrow. Back Monday. Love you." I didn't reply. That night, I sat alone in the quiet and realized something I couldn't unsee. I wasn't angry. I was done. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was crying, not because I was pacing, but because my mind wouldn't stop replaying the moment his expression shifted when I asked if he'd packed. It wasn't guilt the way guilt usually looks. It was rehearsal, like he'd already practiced the lie and was checking to see if it landed. By morning, the apartment felt wrong. Too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I worked from home that Friday, answered emails, joined meetings, smiled on camera, functioned on autopilot. All the while, Ryan's laptop sat on the desk across from me. We'd always respected each other's privacy. That was one of the things I loved about us. No phone checking, no passwords demanded. Trust without surveillance. But trust only works when both people are protecting it. Around noon, I closed my laptop, stood up, and walked over to his. I told myself I was just looking for reassurance. One clean message thread confirming I was wrong. That Mark really had been heartbroken. That I'd overreacted. It took less than 2 minutes for that hope to die. Ryan used his laptop messaging app for everything. No effort to hide it, no locked folders. Just conversations sitting there, open, casual. I clicked on Mark first. Scrolled, and felt my stomach drop. No breakup, no devastation, no emotional spiral. Just memes, sports talk, a message from 2 weeks earlier. Coast trip is locked. Can't wait. 2 weeks. The cabin reservation email was dated a month ago. I leaned back in the chair, the room suddenly tilting. My chest felt hollow, like the air had been pulled straight through me. The trip wasn't last minute. He'd known. He'd chosen. Still, a small, foolish part of me whispered, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that. Then I saw her name, Lila. I didn't recognize it, which somehow made it worse. The messages stretched back months. Not explicit, not graphic. That would have almost been easier. Instead, they were intimate in the quietest way. Inside jokes, late night, you still up, say night texts, screenshots of conversations between Ryan and me, sent to her with captions like, see what I mean? He complained about me, about my expectations, about how I didn't get him. And she responded exactly how someone waiting in the wings does. You deserve better. Anyone would be lucky to have you. Timing is everything. I scrolled faster, my hands cold. Then I saw it. A message from Lila, sent 2 days earlier. Can't wait for this weekend. Coast House is going to be perfect. My vision blurred. She was going on the trip. Not as a coincidence, not accidentally. Planned, coordinated, anticipated. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, feeling something settle deep in my chest. It wasn't rage. It was clarity. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't slam the laptop shut. I simply understood. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't him being trapped or unsure. This was him slowly building another life while keeping me as a placeholder. And suddenly, all the canceled plans made sense. I closed the laptop gently, like it hadn't just cracked my world open. That afternoon, I didn't confront him. I didn't text, didn't call, didn't ask for explanations I knew would come wrapped in half-truths. Instead, I sat on the edge of the bed we shared and made a decision so quiet it scared me. If he wanted space to figure out what he wanted, I would give it to him. All of it. By Sunday afternoon, I was no longer asking myself if I was doing the right thing. I was asking how cleanly I could do it. Ryan and I had always split things in a way that felt fair at the time. Or what I thought was fair. I covered most of the rent. I paid the security deposit. Almost all of the furniture had come from my old place or had been purchased on my card once we moved in together. The couch, the bed, the dining table, the TV, the microwave, even the coffee maker he loved but never cleaned. They weren't symbols to me yet. They were just facts. Sunday night, I called my older sister and 2 close friends. I need help moving tomorrow, I said. I didn't explain. I didn't need to. My voice must have carried enough truth. They showed up Monday morning with a truck. By then, I was operating on something like calm instinct. Not anger, not revenge, precision. We worked efficiently, no dramatics, no commentary. The couch went first, then the bed, mattress and frame stripped bare. The dining table followed, then the chairs, the TV and stand, the shelves, the good cookware, the lamp I always turned on first thing in the morning. Room by room, my life detached itself from the space. What I left behind looked like an echo. Ryan's clothes still hung in the closet, his shoes lined up by the door. The walls were bare, except for the decorations he'd picked. His books lay stacked on the floor where the bookshelf used to be. The kitchen had his old dishes, mismatched, chipped, familiar in a way that now felt distant. No table to eat at, no decent appliances to cook with. Just space. When the truck was full, I stood in the kitchen for a moment, holding the note I'd written. It wasn't angry. It wasn't poetic. It was honest. Ryan, you're right. I don't control what you do with your life, but I do control what I do with mine. I found the messages. With Mark, with Lila. I know she went on the trip. I know you've been lying to me for months. The lease is in both our names, so you're legally entitled to stay. Everything that belonged to me is now gone. Rent is due on the 1st. Don't contact me. We're done. Sarah. I placed the note on the kitchen counter, the only surface left to put it on. My key went on top. Then I walked out. I didn't look back. I was halfway through unpacking at my new apartment when my phone started vibrating. Again and again. By 7 p.m., I had 16 missed calls from Ryan. The texts escalated quickly. Where is everything? Sarah, what the hell is going on? Did you break in and take our stuff? This is insane. Please call me. I can explain about Lila. Where am I supposed to sleep? There's no bed. I'm freaking out. I blocked his number. He tried again from other phones. Blocked. Around 9, someone knocked on my door. I didn't answer. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, listening to his voice through the door, calling my name, knocking harder, panic bleeding into every syllable. 20 minutes later, the hallway went quiet. My sister called me at 10. "He's losing it," she said. "Says you abandoned him. Says you took everything." "I took what was mine," I said. My voice didn't shake. "He still has an apartment." There was a pause. "Yeah," she said, "that's fair." When I finally lay down that night, on my bed, in my space, I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. And somewhere across the city, Ryan was standing in an apartment full of empty rooms, finally facing the space he'd been creating for months. The silence didn't last. It never does. By Tuesday morning, the story had already begun mutating. Ryan didn't frame it as a breakup. He framed it as abandonment. Friends started texting me. People I hadn't spoken to in years. Some cautious, some accusatory, some thinly veiled as concern. "What happened? Is Ryan okay? Did you really take everything while he was gone?" By Wednesday, I saw the post. A long emotional thread on social media, carefully written, perfectly angled. 5 years together, a devoted boyfriend, helping a friend in crisis, coming home to an empty apartment and a cold note. No bed, no couch, nowhere to sleep. He didn't name me directly. He didn't have to. The comments flooded in. "That's abusive. That's controlling behavior. No one deserves that." I closed the app. I didn't respond publicly, didn't defend myself, didn't correct the narrative. Instead, I messaged 3 people privately, friends who knew us both, people who had sat at our dinner table, people who had seen the canceled plans firsthand. I sent them screenshots. Ryan's messages with Mark, the planning of the trip, the messages with Lila. No commentary, no spin, just the truth. "I'm not asking you to pick sides," I wrote. "I just want you to know the full story before judging me." 2 of them replied quickly. "Thank you for trusting me with this. I'm so sorry you went through that." The third told me I was still wrong, that what I did was extreme, that 2 wrongs don't make a right. I accepted that. Not everyone will understand the moment you stop being gentle. That night, my mother called. "Sarah," she said softly, "Ryan's mother just called me." I exhaled slowly and told her everything. The cancellations, the lies, the messages, Lila. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked, "So, you took all the furniture?" "I took what I bought," I said. "He has his things. He just doesn't have the life I was carrying for him anymore." She was quiet for a long moment. "Your father did something similar when his first marriage ended," she said. "He took everything that was his and left her with an empty house. I always thought it was cruel." Another pause. "And now?" I asked. "Now I understand it better," she said. "Sometimes you don't leave to punish someone. You leave so you can finally breathe." Thursday came. The comments under Ryan's post began to change. "Who's Lila? Why did you lie about the trip? Why did you leave that part out?" By Thursday evening, the post was gone. Saturday morning, I woke up to an email. Subject line, "Please read this." It was from Ryan. He wrote that nothing physical had happened, that he never slept with Lila, that he'd been confused, trapped, that what I did was cruel. He described coming home to the empty apartment. "I sat on the floor and started shaking," he wrote. "Everything was gone. You were gone. Our life was erased." I read it 3 times. I felt the guilt try to crawl back in, felt the old instinct to explain, to soften, to take responsibility for his pain. Then I closed the email, deleted it. Because here's what he still didn't understand. I didn't leave to hurt him. I left to stop hurting myself. 6 weeks later, my life looks smaller on paper. A 1-bedroom apartment across town. No shared lease, no shared furniture, no shared expectations. But for the first time in years, it feels proportional to the person living in it. I bought a secondhand couch that fits the space perfectly. A mismatched dining table that wobbles if you lean on it too hard. I hung my own pictures, chose my own sheets, learned how quiet it is when you're not bracing for disappointment. The silence doesn't ache anymore. I've heard through mutual friends that Ryan is fine. He moved out of the old apartment after realizing he couldn't afford it alone, found a roommate, bought a cheap bed, rebuilt the basics. Apparently, he and Lila tried dating officially. It lasted 2 weeks. Turns out the fantasy collapses when it has to carry weight. Some people still think I went too far, that taking the furniture was vindictive, that I should have warned him, that I should have been kinder. Maybe they're right. Maybe there was a softer way to leave. But softness is what kept me there while he slowly disengaged. Softness is what made me swallow the cancellations. Softness is what let me become a placeholder in my own life. I wasn't trying to teach him a lesson. I was reclaiming what I'd been quietly giving away. Ryan emailed me once more. 2 lines. I hope you're happy. I hope this was worth it. I almost replied. Almost told him that yes, I am happy. That leaving was the hardest and best decision I've made in years. That he did me a favor by finally showing me who he was when he thought he had options. But I didn't, because whether he understands doesn't matter anymore. What matters is this. I make plans now knowing they won't be canceled. I live in a space that doesn't echo with someone else's indecision. I go to sleep without wondering if I'm someone's second choice. The apartment might have been empty when he came home, but our relationship had been empty long before that. I just had the clarity to see it, and the courage to walk away with everything that was already mine.